when an avoidant realizes no one else feels like you. Have you ever wondered what happens when an avoidant finally realizes that the connection they walked away from was something they cannot easily replace? At first, the avoidant may convince themselves that leaving was the right decision because emotional distance feels safer than deep vulnerability. They may tell themselves that the relationship was too intense, too demanding, or simply something they needed to escape from. But as time passes, something unexpected begins to happen inside their mind because the absence of your presence becomes impossible to ignore. The memories they tried to suppress slowly begin returning, reminding them of moments they once considered ordinary but were actually deeply meaningful. An avoidant person often struggles with closeness because intimacy can trigger fears they have carried for many years. They may desire love deeply, while also feeling overwhelmed by the vulnerability that comes with allowing someone into their inner world. When they were with you, they might have focused on your flaws, your needs, or the pressure they felt from the relationship. They may have misunderstood emotional intimacy as a loss of freedom, instead of seeing it as a chance to build a stronger connection. But when you are no longer available, their perspective can slowly begin to change as they notice what they truly lost. They start comparing new interactions with the connection they experienced with you, and something feels completely different. They may meet new people, have new conversations, and experience new attention, but the emotional comfort does not feel the same. Because what they miss is not only the relationship itself, but the feeling of being understood without having to explain everything. You may have noticed their moods, understood their silence, and accepted parts of them that they usually hide from others. That level of emotional acceptance can become something an avoidant remembers long after the relationship ends. They may remember how you could sense when something was wrong even when they refused to talk about their feelings. At first, they might have believed that moving on would be simple because they underestimated the depth of the bond they created with you. They may distract themselves with work, hobbies, social activities, or even new connections to avoid facing their emotions. However, distractions cannot always remove the memory of someone who made them feel emotionally seen. Eventually, they may begin to realize that not every person will offer the same patience, understanding, and emotional safety you provided. This realization can create an internal conflict because they wanted freedom, but they also miss the connection they once had. The avoidant mind can experience a strange contradiction where they crave your presence while still fearing emotional closeness. They may want the comfort of your love while simultaneously remembering the fears that made them pull away. They may remember the small moments that seemed ordinary before, but now feel incredibly meaningful. The way you listened, the way you cared, and the way you accepted them can become memories they secretly revisit. Many avoidants do not process loss immediately because their defense mechanisms often delay emotional awareness. Instead of feeling the pain instantly, they may shut down and convince themselves that everything is fine. But when the emotional walls become weaker, the feelings they avoided can slowly come back to the surface. They begin asking themselves questions they previously ignored about why the connection felt different. They may wonder why conversations with others feel empty compared to the comfort they experienced with you. They may realize that finding someone attractive is not the same as finding someone emotionally compatible. Physical attraction can happen quickly, but genuine emotional safety is much harder to replace. The avoidant may begin understanding that you were not simply another person in their life. You represented a place where they could be vulnerable without constantly feeling judged or rejected. And that realization can become powerful because many avoidants spend years protecting themselves from exactly that type of closeness. The hardest truth for them may be accepting that the person they pushed away was the person who understood them the most. They may remember how you encouraged them, supported them, and believed in them even during their difficult moments. They may begin missing the emotional connection they once took for granted because they finally understand its value. They may realize that what they lost was not just a partner, but a person who brought emotional peace into their life. However, missing someone does not always mean an avoidant will immediately return or express their feelings openly. Their fears, habits, and emotional defenses can still make it difficult for them to take action. Sometimes they silently observe from a distance, because reaching out requires them to face emotions they have avoided. They may want to reconnect, but struggle with the fear of rejection, or the fear of losing their independence again. This is why avoidant realizations often happen internally before they become visible externally. The change begins inside their thoughts long before their actions reveal what they are feeling. They may start recognizing that the problem was not that you were too much, but that emotional closeness felt unfamiliar. They may understand that your love was not a burden, but something they were not fully prepared to receive. The connection they shared with you may become a reference point that changes how they view future relationships. They might search for the same emotional feeling elsewhere and slowly discover that certain bonds cannot simply be replaced. Because some people enter our lives and create a unique emotional experience that stays with us. When an avoidant realizes no one else feels like you, they are often confronting the difference between temporary comfort and meaningful connection. They begin seeing that losing someone who truly understood them can create a type of emptiness they cannot easily fill. They may realize that many people can offer attention, but very few can provide the emotional safety they experienced with you. But your healing should never depend on whether an avoidant reaches this realization. Your value was never created by their ability to recognize it. The most powerful transformation happens when you stop waiting for someone else to understand your worth. When you choose yourself, protect your peace, and build a life where your happiness does not depend on someone returning. Because the greatest connection you can create is the one you have with yourself. And sometimes, the moment an avoidant realizes no one else feels like you is the same moment you realize you no longer need their validation. Your growth becomes the proof that your love was valuable, even if someone else struggled to appreciate it at the time. Remember, the person who truly belongs in your life will not only recognize your presence after losing you, they will choose you, appreciate you, and protect the connection while they still have it. Because the deepest relationships are not built by people who fear losing you after you leave. They are built by people who value you enough to never make you feel replaceable in the first place. If this message helped you understand the hidden emotions behind avoidant behavior, remember that your worth was never determined by someone else's ability to recognize it. Sometimes people realize the value of a connection only after distance reveals what they truly lost. But your journey is not about waiting for someone to come back. It is about becoming stronger, healing deeper, and choosing the love and respect you deserve.